Good morning and Happy New Year. See, because I don't want you to lose the New Year spirit. So I'm going to keep on saying it. Even in July, I'm going to be saying Happy New Year. Because we want to keep the newness and keep the idea of the possibilities and the idea of the fulfillment of our dreams and goals. We want to keep those uppermost in our mind, and we want to keep the spirit of hope that we have in the beginning of the year, and just keep the feeling that we can do it, that we can make it, that we can achieve it, that this truly, truly is going to be our year and the best year yet. So we want to keep that feeling, that idea, that energy, that enthusiasm. And as you know, our theme for 2018 is the courage to imagine and the faith to persevere. And we can personalize it by declaring that I have the courage to imagine and the faith to persevere. Anybody want to affirm that with me? I have the courage to imagine and the faith to persevere. Now, we may not be there yet. You may not really be there yet, but this is the path that we are on. This is the state of mind that we are striving to attain. And this is indeed the end goal, if you will. Scripture tells us that where there is no vision, the people perish. So we want to keep the vision, which comes from the imagination, in our imaging, in our mind, in our consciousness, in the very depths of our being, imaging us living a better life and living a more fulfilling life and having and doing and experiencing more and better and better. So we are indeed on a path of developing a positive vision for ourselves and for the world around us. Now, we're working during this series, we're working with this book, The Power of Unlimited Imagination. And if you haven't gotten it, I hope you pick it up today. It's by Neville. And in the beginning of the book, there are endorsements, if you will, about Neville, their testimonies, if you will, about Neville by Wayne Dyer and Joseph Murphy and Mark Victor Hansen and Roy Eugene Davis and the Science of Mind magazine. So Neville indeed is a very well-known and very highly regarded metaphysician and author. So you definitely want to pick this book up so you can follow our series even more so. So this is the second lesson in this series, and this lesson is entitled The Only Reality. The Only Reality. Now, Neville is very clear, and he tells us very clearly and very definitively in the first chapter that consciousness is the only reality, and that consciousness is the cause, the one cause, he says, of everything in our life, world, and affairs. Consciousness. Well, Charles Fillmore explains consciousness, and he says that consciousness is the sum total of all ideas accumulated in and affecting man's present being. It's the sum total, it's the aggregate, it's the accumulation of all of the ideas that you have taken in. He says it includes all that a person is aware of. Your consciousness includes all that you are aware of and all that you accept Because you can be aware of something and not accept it. Okay. So your consciousness includes all that you accept, all ideas that you accept as being true. True for you and true for others. And Charles Fillmore also in the Revealing Word gives us a further explanation of consciousness. He says, illumined consciousness is a mind purified by the light of truth. He says, material consciousness is a state of mind based on belief in the reality of materiality or things as they appear. That's material consciousness. And it is the carnal mind, he says, expressing its unbelief in the omnipresence of God. He tells us that negative consciousness is a mind filled with ungodlike thoughts, such as fear, hate, greed, resentment, discouragement, sickness, lack, and limitation. He says a positive consciousness is a mind filled with God's thoughts, such as love, happiness, power, strength, generosity, optimism. The question is, where does our consciousness fall, if you will? Where is our consciousness in relation to the areas that he has given to us, spoken to us about? Whether it be illumined consciousness or whether it be a consciousness of materiality. Again, our consciousness includes everything that we accept as true, as possible, as impossible, as probable, or as improbable for us. Okay. When we talk of consciousness, we believe that, for some of us, we believe in the power of materiality. We believe in the power of the outer world. We believe in the power of what we see, hear, taste, and feel. We believe in things that may not be true, but we accept them as true for ourselves. And we know, most of us know for children believe things that are not true. They believe that there may be ghosts under the bed, or they believe that, a knocking sound in the closet is somebody trying to get out of the closet to do something to them. They believe in all sorts of things. They believe that they can jump off of a high whatever, jump down from a tree and not get hurt. They believe just as we believe, and we accept ideas about ourselves and accept ideas about the world around us that may or may not be true. People accept the idea that they are unable to accomplish a particular thing. And that feeling that they're unable to do it, that they're unable to get past a particular point in their life, keeps them from accomplishing and keeps them from getting past that point in their life. Whereas someone else with similar skills and similar talent, similar background, similar abilities may believe that they are able to do it. They believe that they can accomplish it. They believe that they can get past that point in their life. And guess what? They go ahead and do it. Why? Because in their consciousness, what they are aware of are the possibilities, and the possibility that they indeed can do a particular thing, can accomplish a particular thing. So we're always working with consciousness in unity. Neville gives us a very important key, which is that if we want to change our circumstances, we have to change our consciousness. We have to change our mindset. Now, we all know the saying, you can't put new wine into old wineskins. But guess what? We all try and do it. We all try to, we get a nice affirmation and we affirm that affirmation, even though we're holding within us resentment and fear and doubt and anger and unforgiveness, yet and still we are affirming this affirmation all day long, thinking that our life is going to change and wondering why our life isn't changing. Why? Because we are saying and affirming this affirmation. However, we have put that affirmation into and on top of that which is already within us. The feeling and the awareness, we have accepted the feeling and the awareness that other people can harm us and that other people have power over us. My friends, if we're talking about the courage to imagine, the courage to imagine big things, the courage to imagine better things, the courage to imagine more good things in our life, world, and affairs, then we must first start with our consciousness. What are we aware of? What do we accept as possible for ourselves and in the world? Because if we don't change that, then all we're doing is putting new wine into old wineskins. And many of us are familiar with the scripture that says, whatsoever things are true and honest and pure and lovely and of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Okay. The problem is that we are constantly bombarded with things that are not true, that are not lovely, that are not just and are not of good report. The problem is that we receive so much information from around us, from people and on our jobs and the news media and out in the world and from friends and loved ones. We get so much information now, especially now with social media. We get even more and more information, and there's a 24-hour news cycle, as they call it, that continuously gives us more and more information, more and more data, more and more ideas and concepts. Are these ideas and concepts honest and pure and true, and are they virtuous, and are they of good report? Not necessarily. Jesus told us to be in the world, but not of the world. Now, we do have to be in the world because we live in the world. We've got family, and we've got jobs, and we've got businesses, and we've got things that we have to take care of. But do we have to be of the world? See, because if we're talking about changing our consciousness, and intellectually we can understand, well, yeah, if I want to change my life, okay, I'll change my consciousness and so on. Okay, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. That sounds plausible. That sounds like something I can understand and something I can do. But really, really and truly, is it that simple? No, it's not that simple. Because each of us, each person has received over our lifetimes so much information, much of it that isn't true, wasn't true, isn't good, wasn't good. So much over a period of time, a period of our lifetimes, that it's in us, it's in our subconscious, and we don't even realize that it's there, and we don't even realize that we indeed have to remove that we indeed have to overcome that which is within us and that which we have been exposed to. Another thing is that we've been told that within our being, we have some of the DNA characteristics of our parents, our grandparents, and our ancestors. So they have experienced some things in life they have passed it on to us, not consciously, not willingly, but indeed it has been passed on to us, and much of that is in our psyche. So we're really dealing with a massive issue here in terms of changing our consciousness, changing our level of awareness. One of the things that, to me, is a truism is that we are distracted from our true selves by so many things in the outer world. We are distracted. And let's be honest now. Anybody here want to be honest? Let's be honest. We are in these teachings. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but let me just get it out. We are in these teachings. Some people say, well, I've been in these teachings for 6 months and I'm still going through stuff. I still haven't overcome how come things haven't gotten better for me? I've been in these teachings for 2 years and how come I'm still going through stuff, and how come I still haven't been able to overcome such and such? I've been in these teachings for 20 years and I've been studying, reading these books, and how come I'm still going through stuff? The reason is, part of the reason is, during all of those years, you've been continually distracted each and every single day by things we read in the papers and magazines and newspapers all around us. We have been distracted from the truth of our being. My mother-in-law, bless her soul, and Cheryl knows what I'm going to say. I talked about this at her funeral. She was a Christian, born again Christian, and she was into it. She wasn't half and half. She was into it. You could not watch anything on television in her house that had any sex, violence, and drugs in it. Just couldn't watch it. You could not listen to any type of music that wasn't godly music. If it wasn't the Five Blind Boys from Alabama and the Gaithers, whatever, you wasn't listening to it in her house. You just couldn't. You would. So we'd visit there, and I'll tell the whole story, so we'd be driving from Brooklyn to her house, visit, whatever, on holidays, and we'd be playing the music, which wasn't quite necessarily God-like music on the radio, but, we'd be, it'd be fun, and so on. By the time we got to her house, we knew we had to turn the radio. We said, oh, God, Jesus, no. Why? Because she didn't allow it into her house, into her physical space, into her environment, into her consciousness. So she didn't know what kind of music they were playing in the world because she never listened to it. She didn't know about all the TV shows and all the violence and so on because she never watched it. She didn't. So she was not aware of a lot of things, and she did not accept for herself, in her environment, a lot of the negativity. And you couldn't talk in the conversation. You couldn't talk a whole lot of negative stuff about other people and badmouth people. No, you wasn't doing that in her house, in her presence. So what she did, she created an environment that was positive and uplifting, and it was not full of the distractions that many of the rest of us have. And in some spiritual communities, some people take a vow of poverty, a vow of celibacy, may live in a spiritual community where all they do is pray and meditate. Okay. They're not out in the world. Why? Because they know, and according to their teachings, the distractions in the world have an impact on us and keep us from truly connecting with that presence and power that is God, that is good, and that is within us. So we're talking, let's be clear, we're talking about the role that our consciousness and that which we are aware of and that which we accept as being true, how that affects our day-to-day lives. Now, again, we're in the world. We have to be in the world. We're not saying that we should become hermits. But if you're really, really serious about improving your life, about changing your life, then you know that there are things that you have to do and only you can do because no one else can do it for you. So, number one, understand and accept the power that you have within your consciousness. Understand and accept the God power that you have, the Christ power that is within you. Understand it, accept it, realize it, believe in it. Number two, accept the reality that you have years of subconscious and unconscious negative thoughts and feelings and ideas to overcome. So it may not happen in a week, a month. It may not happen instantaneously. Your healing may not come right away. Why? Because the root causes of it may go back 20, 30, 50 years ago. Maybe longer than that, maybe from your parents and grandparents. Because in a family, there are things that the family accepts, right? There are things that the family believe, people in the household believe. I remember when I was growing up, my mother, grandmother, aunts, uncles, they believed certain things and accepted certain things, and they had a particular life, and they, in conversation, shared that with me, and I was there, so I took in some of that stuff, and some of that stuff wasn't necessarily positive, and some of that stuff stood with me and stayed with me until today. Okay, till today, and my wife will tell you, I eat everything on my plate. Anybody know that? Anybody? When you were a kid, you were told, well, some of us anyway, eat all that food now because there's starving people in India and Iran and South America. I eat everything off my plate. If you ever go out to eat with me, you will see I eat everything off my plate. I kid you not. And that was taught to me. It's not a bad thing, good thing, but again, so if I retain that, what else have I retained that I may not be aware of? So we're working with something, and it may take place overnight for you, but it may not. And if it doesn't, don't be upset that it doesn't. Don't say, oh, this stuff doesn't work. You write your letter to God, say, oh, well, I wrote that letter before, and it didn't work out. I didn't get everything I wanted, and so on. It may take a little bit more time. That's where the faith to persevere comes in. Number three, accept the reality that you are bombarded every day with negative and erroneous information. Plain and simple. Okay. Not that you're going out looking for it or searching for it or you're trying to get, you are just there. How many times are you in a store, online, at the movies or wherever, and you hear somebody's conversation? Okay. And how many times is that conversation not positive? How many times are you watching television and you may also be talking on the phone, or you may be doing something else and so on, and the TV is going and they're talking about stuff and so on. Guess what? That stuff is still going into your subconscious phase of mind. Did you get that? Good, bad, or otherwise. Another time I'll tell you one of my pet peeves about television. But, so number 4 is that we are to do as much as we can consciously to limit the negative information that we receive. So we're talking about monitoring and observing, and Neville talks about observing our thoughts and not accepting and not befriending the negative, limiting, and erroneous ideas that come to us. He say only accept those ideas, only dwell on those ideas that are positive and uplifting. So we're talking about being observant and monitoring the input. And guess what? For some of us, that monitoring means limiting the input. Limiting information that comes to us. one of the things I used to do, I love to read, so I used to read newspaper every day, every night, newspaper, magazine, to get all the news, whether it was fit to print or not. And, but I stopped doing that. A couple of years ago, I said, something about this isn't right. Okay, spirit in me told me not to daily take in all of that information. Okay. Going back to my mother-in-law, God bless her, there are only certain things that she would read. Most of what she read was religious and spiritual and uplifting. Can we say the same things? And are we ready to make a change in our lives? We know intellectually that we can change, that if we change our consciousness, that we can change the experiences and circumstances in our life, world, and affairs. The question is, my friends, are we ready right now to begin? We take baby steps. We take baby steps. It's okay. But are we ready right here and right now to begin the process, to begin again the process? It doesn't make a difference how many times you start and fail and start and failed. We've had the same gym membership for the last few years. And I just went back again. I was doing good for a long time. Then we had another gym before, and I was going there but I just went back again. Okay. I didn't say, well, Saba, you start and stop before, just leaving the whole thing alone. You don't need it. No, I started again. Okay. Why? Because I understand the importance of it, so I've now got to continue to work with it. So pray for me on that regard, to be sure. Now, so we are talking about, and there's more I want to leave with you, but I will leave you with this. Our opening statement for today is our challenge and our goal and our opportunity going forward. And it is, I focus my attention only on the good around and within me. Can we affirm this together? I focus my attention only on the good around and within me. If we commit ourselves to doing that, if we dedicate ourselves to doing that, then truly, truly our goals and dreams and aspirations will become manifest, they will become real, and they will become alive in us, and they will truly change and transform our lives. My friends, this indeed is the truth, the whole truth, and it cannot be otherwise. God bless you.